नहीं नहीं बस इनफ इनफ गुड गुड
थोड़ा सा तो जास्त डीम होऊन जाईल कारण खूप कमी केलं तर.
पर ये लाइट चालू रख ना.
डायरेक्शन थोड़ा लेफ्ट राइट होता तो ठीक रहता था.
अरे मैं क्या
यहाँ पे कुछ नहीं लग रहा है जस्ट
टू प्लेट्स बंद करने के लिए
यहाँ पे ठीक है. यहाँ पे वो डायरेक्ट
फोकस में रहना पड़ेगा.
सोशल बैठना है.
मतलब यहाँ दिखना चाहिए. बात किया भाई से मैंने अपने बैठा था सबसे मिलवा रहा हूँ ये वो था मिस्टा जो संगीत में पोर्टफोलियो में काम किया था बी ए मिस्टा हेड
पूरा चालू कर दूंगा तो पीछे का नीचे था वो. लेकिन अगर उनका पीपीटी इंटरैक्टिव होगा ना
वो खुद ही बोलेगा.
हाँ अगर उन्होंने क्वेश्चन पूछा तो लाइट चालू करना पड़ेगा.
हम पे पूछ कितना टाइम है.
क्या है इसका
और टीम चाहिए.
ये भाई इतना तो चाहिए
रहने दे अगर वो बोलते हैं
कर दे.
करो. मैं इस माइक पे बोल दूंगा फिर कर देना.
अरे वो आँख टायर्ड होती है 30%
ऐसा हो जाऊंगा मैं.
चलो स्टार्ट करते हैं. आँख थक जाती है.
स्टार्ट करते हैं.
करो ना भाई अभी शुरू हो गया ना.
अरे तो उनको तो आने दो.
हाँ तो उनको बुलाओ ना इसीलिए उनको निकालने के लिए.
पैर दुख रहे हैं. पीछे दो चेयर्स रख
इधर सोफा है ना उधर सोफा इधर तुम्हें बैठना उधर थोड़ी बैठोगे.
इधर बैठना.
सोफा लगाया सोफा भी है वैसे और भाई वो रीटू को
इधर रहना.
कौन बोला नहीं कौन नहीं मेरे को मोरे नाम बोली दिमाग के ऊपर दिमाग के आगे सही नहीं था बोलने का तो एकदम फ्लुएंट. हाँ पढ़ने में सनिका थी पढ़ने में
नीर को अभी और ज़्यादा बोलेगी उसको बैठने मत बोल. भाई बटन ऐसा रख लिए ये भी बंद रखो.
अबे यार ये कोई पीएसएफ के है क्या इसको दे देना. है उसके पास
मैं सबकी पहनूंगा.
हाँ वैसे जरूरत क्या तुम लोग तो पीएसएफ का टी-शर्ट डाला है ना निकालो. तू भी निकाल रहे फ्रंट इसमें पीएसएफ नहीं इसलिए मैं पहना हूँ. अरे छोड़ना भाई.
कौन देगा.
अरे लवड़े कहाँ कौन. अरे भाई वो
तो तेरे पेट तो ऐसा टप
तुम लोग हीरो साला ऐसे कॉर्ड लगता है उससे कॉर्ड वॉल लगता है.
भाई कॉर्ड लग रहा है अपन टी-शर्ट.
हाँ ये नहीं टी-शर्ट में नहीं ये डाल के लग रहे हो. वैसा जैसा
नहीं भाई मैं जो छोड़ने चल रहा हूँ ना भाई लोग मेरे को देखते कि भाई है कौन भाई टी-शर्ट में घूम रहा है.
क्या वो माइक चालू कौन रहा है उधर से बंद कर देंगे.
अभी वो बटन घुसा हुआ है इसलिए उन्होंने
ये दोनों माइक बंद है.
वो ऑन कर लेंगे.
चेक करो क्या
किया मैं चेक कर ले प्रथम. टैप करके चेक कर शूट करो. उन्हें तो पता ही है ONGC प्रेजेंट्स PSF की एनर्जी क्या है. तो बस एनर्जी मेरे को मेंटेन करते हैं with a very knowledgeable keynote session, Vision 2047, Growth for All, from a very knowledgeable man, Mr. Praveen Pardeshi. Sir, Praveen Pardeshi sir is an IAS officer of the 1985 batch with over 36 years of experience in the services. He currently holds the position of Chief Executive Officer at Maharashtra Institute of Transformation, also called as Mitra. He pursued his bachelor's degree in economics and statistics at the University of Delhi and also got his master's degree in economics from Delhi School of Economics, graduating in May 1984. He is also an alum of London School of Economics. He began his career as assistant collector in Panvel, Raigad, where he was in charge of the land reforms and the cyclone rehabilitation program in Maharashtra.
Mr. Pardeshi has also served as the Chief Executive Officer of Amravati District Council and oversaw 12,000 development staff. Under his leadership, Amravati District stood first in FY91 in Maharashtra for achieving 20-point economic program, post which he held the charge of District Collector and District Magistrate in Latur District. He also served as Municipal Commissioner in Pimpri-Chinchwad Municipal Corporation and Secretary to the Chief Minister of Maharashtra. He has held various senior leadership positions within United Nations as the Chief of Transition Recovery Unit, UNDP, Geneva, and Senior Coordinator of United Nations International Strategy for Disaster Reduction. Sir, your lifelong experience in these various organizations is a dream career for many UPSC aspirants. And yes, we all admire you for the same.
So everybody, let's not waste our time and gain some insightful learnings from Sir himself. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, perfect. But we will have a discussion after this. No?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll make it fast. So first, thank you, College of Engineering, for calling me here. I'm really excited to be with all the youthful energy. And I was walking through your Startup Fest. We saw so many examples which can be applied from borewell to the racing car, which your college students have put up, and it can run the full course of the with an electric charge and reach up to 150 kilometers per second in 4 seconds. So congratulations to the young budding entrepreneurs of COEP, and congratulations to the faculty also, Professor Birud and all of you, for nurturing such a great talent. Today I wanted to talk to you very quickly about what Maharashtra we are planning as a growth for the future, what is our aspiration, and then how you all can contribute to it. So, you know that one of the aspirations is Maharashtra should become a $1 trillion. How many $1 trillion is India, and how much is, let's say, any other subnational entity which is $1 trillion? Any guesses? What is India's GDP? How much? So 3 trillion. So we are aspiring to be 1/3 of that. Any subnational entity which is 1 trillion? No, Switzerland is a country. Subnational. So many states like California and all, they are already 1 trillion. Of course, many corporations like IBM and all also are there. But we are closest to 1 trillion compared to other states. See, our competitor states like Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Maharashtra is the closest. And now we can say that Maharashtra is $500 billion. A lot of the growth is because also of the dollar. So these are the steps that we are planning. I'll just go through them. We need to increase our rate of investment. If you see, today we are growing at something like 6 to 7% at the national level. The state is growing a bit higher than that. But if you want to reach $1 trillion by 2028, then we need to grow at 17.55%. The highest growth rate ever achieved by any state in India. Any guesses which state has achieved that? Which one? Not Maharashtra. Gujarat, yes, but there were two other states, very important states. Huh? Which one? Loudly. No. No. Madhya Pradesh and Odisha. The two Bimaru states, they are called Bimaru states. But for 10 years non-stop, both Odisha and Madhya Pradesh, and of course Gujarat, which was not a Bimaru state ever, it was always an advanced state, but these two states caught up. But 17% no other state has given. So what does it take to grow at 17%? So this is what it takes. We need to put $1.5 trillion equivalent of investment in capital goods. Professor, your Vice Chancellor was telling me about that you need high-end computers to do AI. And maybe that will cost 20 crores, 30 crores. That is the type of investment. That's for one college, but across the state. So we haven't really mobilized this level of investment because you see the top figure? Let's see if this works. Does it work? It doesn't work on this, okay. So we need to invest 36% of our GDP, but today we are investing only 27%, which means we have to tighten our belts and invest more. A lot of the money is going into consumption expenditure, which doesn't lead to more growth. Most of you are engineers, so economics also have some formulas like your laws of force or acceleration. So one simple mathematical formula for rate of growth is, anybody can say that? Great rate of growth. How do you calculate this figure, this percentage, that GDP is growing at 17.5%? How do you calculate the increment? Huh? No, वो तो arithmetic है. What is the formula behind it? Like you said, force is equal to mass into acceleration. So how is that? So what you do here is, you look at the rate of saving or rate of investment. And that is multiplied by something called incremental capital output ratio. That is how much investment you have to do to get one additional unit of output or production. The two multiplied gives you the growth rate. So to reach this type of a growth, what is assumed is that we need to invest 37% of our GDP. And also our ICOR, incremental capital output ratio, should be 2.10. But what is it now? So you see our incremental capital output ratio has gone down. Going up means going down. Can you guess what does it mean? Like if it is 2, it is better. But if it is 4.6 as it is now, it's really bad. What does it mean? So in 2015, if you invested 1.94 rupees, you could get 1 rupee of additional GDP. But now you have to invest 4.61 rupees to get 1 additional rupee of GDP. That means the efficiency with which we invest has gone down. So again, any guesses why this investment is, this efficiency is low? Or why does it go down? Anybody can make a guess? Yeah? So it has a lot to do with engineering, the reason for the slow growth. At constant prices also, we are saying that at constant prices, the incremental capital output ratio has gone up. So if you walk outside your college and then you see how long did it take to build this flyover? And also there are some continuing metro, isn't it? So if a project which takes 1 year to complete, if we make it in 5 years, ICOR goes up. Why? Because we have already made the investment, we have spent the money, but no output is coming from it. So delays in implementation is one of the main reasons why ICOR goes up. If you are able to complete a project fast, which means that you start getting the return from it fast, which means the ICOR goes down, which is efficient for growth. So anyway, these are some of the things that we are wanting to do, that is increase the investment from the budget. In our budget, Maharashtra state budget, salaries like my salary, your professor's salaries, that constitutes 70% of the budget. And because of that, there is not much remaining to build roads, to complete these flyovers fast, or complete the irrigation projects. And that is shown in the top. Only 12% outlay goes for capital formation. 88% goes for salaries, rate of interest, and subsidies. Some subsidies are good. For example, scholarships given to students, it goes as a subsidy, but it's a good thing. But then some subsidies are not good, like so much pension, etc. So this is one thing which I wanted to talk to you about, that I hope this is a different figure, but again, another question to all of you: what is the rate of placement of an average, let's say, civil engineer from your college? After you become BE Civil, and let's say you're expecting a job of at least 1.5 lakh rupees per month. So what percentage of COEP students get the job as soon as they are BE? Any guesses? You're the best college, one of the best colleges. 100%, 80%? Huh? 80%. Mostly the placement rate might be, maybe COEP is higher. Maybe Professor Birut can tell me, what could be the placement rate? My Naki ki guess. 80%, okay. But COEP is one of the best colleges in India. I'm not even saying Maharashtra. I know this I'm saying for truthfully. But in generally, colleges across your river on the other side of Pune, their placement rates would be about 40-50%. Just along this road, there is another institute which is called ITI. You know ITI? What is their placement rate? Any guess? 100%. 98%. More demand. So that is the issue that we are trying to talk about here. That most of the people who become engineers, they can't do any engineering. On the other hand, people who come out of ITI, they do what they are trained to do. Recently, we ran a selection for Israel, and the average salary was 1,30,000. They were only class 10th pass boys for plastering, ceramic tile laying, bar bending. So that skilling which ITI gives has huge demand. Of course, engineering also has a huge demand, but our problem is that we are still too non-applied. It's very good that you have a fest like this current fest, which runs on actual application. So for job creation, we need skill creation, and for which we are changing the policy to have more apprenticeships, more internships, right from year one onwards. In foreign countries, if you will see, students who are in class 8th, class 9th, they are already working as apprentices and interns in summer. But the first job that most engineering students will take will be maybe after they are postgraduates. Many of you will go to America and do a double degree and then look for a job. So that sort of a job is very difficult to come by now, because people are looking for skills. So now our policy is to create more internships on this. And now the government is also giving internship stipend so that industries can absorb midterm students. So you earn while you learn, because that learning is the most important. A rule for learning is 70% of all that you will do in life in terms of your application comes from your job experience, not from what you learn in classroom, that is 10%, and 20% from peer-to-peer, like what you do in this fest today. So 70% comes from doing it yourself, and that is the one that government is wanting to work on. I'll just talk about these are some of the, yeah. See, other thing is that we are working on districts. So Maharashtra has a lot of inequality. So 4 districts, Mumbai, Thane, Pune and Nagpur, they have more than 54% of the state's GDP. And all the other districts put together, Usmanabad, Jalna, etc., they have only 20%. So we need other districts also to grow, and that is why we need skill creation in these areas. Mumbai can be another growth hub. What are the areas where you can apply startups? So agriculture is a big sector. We always think of AI and manufacturing as the area, but agriculture is far bigger in terms of needs and also ability to pay. So these are some of the areas that you can work on. That is digitization of last mile of government advisory. Government tries to give a lot of advice to farmers, but we know there are more than 13 crore farmers, 150 million farmers. How does good knowledge, newest knowledge reach farmers at the time when they need it most? So a lot of AI applications and startups are trying to work on that, and that is a very good area. Similarly, how do you ensure that the quality of the agricultural product matches international standards for exports? So that also requires a lot of digitization and synchronization with global standards. Again, an area where a lot of startups can help. So government is working on this agri startup hub also, and these are some of the areas on which they are, making efforts. I'll end with the last sector which is of interest to all of you, which is in the technology area. So we have the National Quantum Mission, and you can all think in the following way, that just like once when our ex-Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi said that we need IT, and India became a great IT service provider. So for the next 20 years, quantum computing will decide how the global problems are solved. But making programs for quantum computers are very difficult skill sets. So that is something which we need to provide, both in terms of a service and in terms of learning. And I'm very happy to hear that College of Engineering is also working on opening a course on quantum computing. So the world will be needing a lot of engineers and quantum computer programmers, which they don't exist today. So that's another area that we can do. So I'll stop here, and maybe we can open it up for discussion.
Thank you so much, sir. हम dumb engineers को थोड़ा economics सिखाने के लिए. We feel so motivated and inspired after such encouraging and invaluable insights we heard from you. Now let's take this session a bit ahead.
Sir, we and audience here is having some general questions, which we think can't be answered anyone but except you. So, sir, moving towards the first question, Sanmit.
Mitra, or Maharashtra Institute of Transformation, which is a think tank like Niti Aayog for Maharashtra. We request you to please enlighten the audience on what exactly Mitra does and how it works.
So basically this presentation that I did now, this is a short version of what we do. We are trying to provide ideas and policies to Maharashtra so that we can leapfrog from a $500 billion economy to a $1 trillion economy by leveraging technology, etc. So my whole presentation was basically about the work we do in Mitra.
So basically, Mitra is all about researching or a think tank like structure for Maharashtra government.
Yes.
Okay. So moving towards the next question. So you have worked in various different departments of state as well as central government, right from municipal commissioner to the chief secretary at CMO, and also at United Nations Development Program. What according to you is the best place to work, and what according to you is the best place to work? And we would like to hear some good experiences of you.
Okay, so you're talking for startups or for anybody, for engineers or anybody?
Different levels of government.
No, of course, government is very rewarding because you can do things which change. I was municipal commissioner, Pune. If you go from here to Baner Road, you would be going to Baner Road. And then you reach the highway, which goes towards Satara. So that flyover was built by me in 6 months. So you feel very proud that we could do something like that. That time there used to be a huge traffic congestion and accidents just in front of Balewadi. And we did many such things. So obviously government is rewarding, but private sector is equally rewarding now with all the startups doing new technology and creating new jobs.
Sir, some of your experiences at United Nations Development Program, like some interesting stories and experiences you got there.
So in the United Nations, I worked more in the crisis area. I was collector in Latur district when the earthquake took place. So then I had to work a lot on earthquake rehabilitation. So somehow my name got associated with crisis management and crisis recovery. So in UNDP, I used to look after countries in crisis. So have you heard of a country called Sudan? Where is Sudan? Which continent? Not South Africa, in Africa, North Africa. So Sudan was having a very big conflict. North of Sudan used to have Arabic speaking and mostly Islamic. And south of Sudan was mostly black African and Christian. So they were having a lot of conflict. So our mission had gone there to try to help people who had been displaced by the conflict. They could not do farming, they had to live on charity. So I was like sitting here. So let us say you are the agriculture commissioner of South Sudan in Juba city. And so Mr. X came and sat down like this. Then we also came and we were trying to talk. Okay, now that we will get peace, we should start cultivating the lands. You cannot depend on American food grains to come. And as we were talking, shooting started. And that person sitting there, he was also used to. So he's a huge man. In 1 second, he jumped up and was lying down below the table. And we were just watching what happened because he had understood that firing is going on. And then he said, come down, come down. So these all rebels were firing. So we had to be evacuated from Juba. So the second place we went in further South Sudan, there were tents. And as soon as we went there, again firing started. So the whole night we spent lying on the ground and there were these Godrej type of cupboards. So I said, let me put my head inside it. If a bullet comes, it can save us. So that was one of the most exciting moments in UN. But all of UN is not like that. Of course, Afghanistan was also troublesome. But now there is better peace both in Sudan and other places.
Sir, as you mentioned the Latur incident, you led a team to secure a $335 million loan from the World Bank for post-earthquake reconstruction. So could you please shed us some insights from that experience and your role there as a learned economist?
So nowadays, what should I say, the power has changed sides. Now borrowers are more powerful than lenders. So it is a borrower's market. So India can dictate terms. But those days it was not so because India was starved of capital. So World Bank was very VVIP people. And when they said, we will promise loan to you, so they used to come in their own aeroplane, government would get, and we used to give them VVIP treatment. So they had too many conditions. For example, they said that, oh, you have to do global procurement. That is, more than 200,000 houses were destroyed. So now these houses, if anybody is from Marathwada in this audience, just raise your hand. Okay. So if you go to any Marathwada village, the houses are made of what? Made of? Of? No guesses? No. Huh? Of? They are made of stone. There is no bricks there. Brick houses are mostly in North India because of Latur, yes. In stone, yes. So all these houses fell down in the earthquake. What is the mortar used there? Cement? No. No. Mud. Mud mortar. Mud mortar and stones. And then unfortunately, over a period of time, the stones were also not. मराठीत आपण म्हणतो घडवलेले दगड म्हणजे made properly planed so that they fix properly with each other and through stones if the walls are very thick. So they didn't have those features. So they fell down. So there was a huge debris. So they said, oh, let us get global contractors to make these houses. Then we said, okay, they will not be able to enter the villages also. And so we prevailed upon them to change the strategy. So each house owner became his own house builder. But we gave money directly to the house owners because and we gave them the new technology. You have to build earthquake safe house requires it to become monolithic. That is, there should be a band, concrete band at the basement, around the sill level, that is window level, and the roof level. So if you do this, then the house is safe, and they should have through stones if the wall is very thick. So for making such a house, we gave the technology, but gave the money to the individual house owners so that they can separate the debris, clear the land, and work. Because if we had only one contractor working in 100,000 houses, you would have thought how long it would take. So World Bank was saying, no, we will go for global procurement and all. So we showed them by example in one village called Pardewadi that look, if we give money to the house owners and good engineering support like you, we recruited more than 200 engineers like yourself, youngsters, showed them the design, and they would stay one engineer per 100 house to guide the house owner. And then the houses started coming up.
This was really a very nice explanation, sir. Really a very inspiring story.
Sir, as you mentioned in your presentation, that some subsidies are not good. And we are all aware about increasing debt on government of Maharashtra due to many schemes like Ladki Bahin Yojana. So what are your thoughts on such free ship schemes and how will it impact state's economy as well as centers?
No, so basically there are two types of projects. One is capital formation and the second is social welfare. So Ladki Bahin Yojana is very important to support women empowerment. Because you know that if you put money in the hands of men, where it goes? But if you put money in the hands of women, then it goes to nutrition. It goes to looking after the child for education. And it goes for savings. One of the figures which we got is out of 1,200 rupees going, they are so careful, only 500 they spend and 500 they save, so that their children, when they need or there is a crisis, they have money for that. So giving direct support to women is not a bad thing. But there are some types like too much of government servant salary or too much of interest payment. Instead of and completing the projects in a delayed way, which will then lead to higher rate of interest and in debt trap. So these are the things we have to come out of. And that is what this new government is planning to do, to increase the investment, public sector, and ensure that the economy grows fast. So tax revenues will grow also.
Getting a social view from an economist is a very rare thing. Sir, again, but as you said, today is a borrower's market, and before it was a lender's market. But can we see in coming years it will be again be a lender's market?
No, because globally, rate of interest is very low, 1 or 2%. And what it means is, let's say 1/3 of the world, roughly not 1/3, I would say 20% of the world, 1 billion people or 1.5 billion people of Europe, North America, Japan and Korea, they have solved all their problems. They don't know what to do next. That is why the rate of interest is so low. But the rest of the world, particularly India and Africa, have a lot of needs because our infrastructure is still not made. You see the metro is still going on in Pune. The metro is long built 100 years ago in London or in Japan. So what will they invest in now? So that surplus capital has to be applied to countries like India to get a higher return. So in India, the return is much higher because the demand is much higher. So it will remain a borrower's market for quite some time. Only we need to improve our rules and regulations. Then we will get a lot of FDI. China did that. So China got a floodgate of investment from all over the world. Now India is also doing that.
So moving towards the next question. Sir, you have worked as CEO at Jilla Parishad to Commissioner to Commissioner of PCMC to Additional Chief Secretary in CMO and also in the PMO. What do you think about government's role in supporting startups from rural areas to urban areas? Also, what advice would you give to startups navigating complexities through government policies and regulations?
Okay. So, first is that government, both government of India and state government are trying to support startups by many measures. You have heard of Startup India, Stand Up India. So giving loans for setting up your good ideas. That is one way in which governments are supporting 2-3. Secondly, there is some amount of capital subsidy also. The loans are given at concessional interest. So that is also there. But what startups need most is demand. And government is the biggest procurement agency. So in the whole of the country, there are many, let us say, buyers or customers. But the biggest customer of all is government. Because right from buying concrete, to making buildings, to buying steel for bridges, to making school buildings, to making irrigation, to buying hospital equipment, it is a very big procurer. But government has lot of restrictions. It cannot suddenly buy, you have suddenly invested a very nice heart pulse measuring machine. But I don't know whether it will work. So what is my condition? I say it should have been sold for last 5 years and you should have a turnover of 500 crores so that you are a credible supplier. Then only I will buy from you. Then only you can quote. So a startup it's a chicken and egg story. Startup will never have a 500 crore story because it's a startup. So this is a problem. So government of Maharashtra has done very innovative changes. One of them is done by it's called the Innovation Week. So what they do is, they call for startups to provide good innovative ideas. Those that get selected by a jury, which includes Dr. Mashelkar and some of the others, then they get a certain grant. I don't remember, but it's quite substantial, 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, I don't remember the exact amount. But more important, government departments can directly buy once from them without going through tendering. So one example I will give you. One startup had invested, you know that Maharashtra builds a lot of dams. How many of you have gone to Khadakwasla on the weekend? All of you.
Almost everyone.
So did you do some swimming in the lake? Nobody?
It's not allowed now. It was.
But you
a
can
few
go
years
in the
ago.
far away where nobody sees.
But I don't.
So if you go and swim in the lake, then you will see down below that the silt which has come from Sivangad and all the mountains is many, many feet thick. So slowly the capacity of the dam is getting completely exhausted. So this startup invented a type of a drone camera which goes underwater and is able to measure the thickness of the silt, so as to understand how much of the capacity of the dam and where has been exhausted, so that irrigation department then can issue a tender to remove the silt. Otherwise, previously, somebody can say, I have removed 100 crore rupees worth of silt, but actually we don't know how much has been removed because nothing was measured before. So here we get an exact quantity. So they were given an order and Tansa Dam was assessed by this startup. So like that, there are many startups which the government is promoting.
Sir, as you said that through that Innovation Week, it will be without a tendering process. The startup guy will get. Yeah. So was this order without a tender?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's a direct order.
Wow.
But it can be given to those who win the competition.
Okay. Okay. So there will be only a few of them,
No,
right?
they select almost 100 or something per year, or
Okay. Okay.
select quite a lot.
So, sir, moving on to the next question. Do you think government-funded incubators and accelerators are meeting the intended economic goals?
Yes, they are trying our best. Even Pune Corporation is trying. But all these are words only. Incubator, this. I mean, what do you mean by incubator? So the thing is, a lot depends on three things. First, venture capital. That is, who is there to risk? You know that of, let's say, 90 startups or 100 startups, 8 or 9 will fail. Only 2 or 3 will survive. So there has to be risk-taking appetite. which as a poorer country or a conservative country, we don't like. And second thing, which is very important for the attitude of the startup is courage to fail. Success only comes from when you are courageous enough to fail. So that is very important. That failure is not a defeat. Failure makes you stronger. Unfortunately, it's not very easy for government to take failure because of whom? All of you. You will immediately write in press, criticize, अरे सरकार ने पैसा waste कर दिया इसका. But failure helps the person who has failed to learn from the mistakes to do a second job.
Courage to failure. That is a very important thing for all the startups out here. Sir, myself being a wildlife enthusiast, I would like to talk about your interest. I've read that you are very much interested in wildlife, and I also heard that there is some very rare and some very exciting event that happened with you in Tadoba. So could you please share that with the audience?
Oh, wildlife is, we are very close to wildlife, in fact, all of us. The reason is that, man became living like we live with plastic bottles and talking on this technology only in the last 150 years. So industrial revolution started in England in 1750s. So it's hardly 200 years old. So before that, and before 2000 years, man was living in the lap of nature. So to survive, we needed to understand how tigers live, how deer live, how rain and plants live. So deep down in our genes and in our primeval memory, love for nature and wildlife is common to all human beings. It's not only for me. You have to just explore it. Because in our evolution, only 200 years we have lived in this type of urbanized society. Only 200 years. This is nothing. For more than 50,000 years from Stone Age time, we have lived with nature. So that is embedded in our mind. So one thing is there, nothing can survive if we destroy nature. That is one world, one earth. There is one saying by John Muir, says that when you pull something out of nature, you realize you have pulled the whole universe because everything is connected. So, of course, Tadoba also teaches you that sort of lesson. Today we have a lot of tigers in Tadoba because we work very closely with people, forest department, to rehabilitate the villages outside. When there are a lot of villages, then there's a lot of conflict between farmers and deer who eat up their farm products, or cattle is eaten by the tigers. So farmers are also not happy, tigers are also not happy. Tigers are not happy to kill the cattle because they know that once they kill the cattle, then somebody is going to put poison in the carcass and they might die. So mother tigress doesn't teach her cubs that you should go and kill human beings. She always teaches them, these are deer, they are safe. This touching these two-legged people, very dangerous. The moment you kill one, they will come after you. So she teaches her kids like that. But it doesn't always happen because when they move out of the park, there is no food to happen. Then by mistake, some tigress kills a human being, then we all gang up and say, we have to kill that tigress. So how to avoid this conflict is one of the issues that we are learning now.
Sir, so you worked around the rehabilitation of villages in the core forest regions,
Yes.
right? So, sir, that includes lots of funds to the natives of that place. And there are lots of convincing and many rounds of talks, many negotiations with the government, with the department and those people. So how did you deal with that thing?
No, we had to talk for many, many meetings, and your credibility. On my telephone, anybody who would call me, I would save his number from the village. So I would just say Jamni village, resettler 1, 2, because I can't remember 500 names. So somebody would say, माझी शेता म्हणजे नवीन जे जमीन दिली त्याच्यामध्ये पाणीच येत नाही. सो देन आई कॉल अप दैट पर्सन एंड से अरे वो उधर से उसको बोरवेल बना के देना या वो ज़मीन को लेवल करके दो. Somebody will say that I have 2 daughters and only one daughter has got the rehabilitation package because my other daughter was married and not in the village at the time of survey. So I say नहीं उसको भी देना चाहिए. So like that, if you solve individual problems, then you can develop trust. And if you have trust, then people will believe you. The problem with government and people is trust deficit is there. Because government says many things sometimes. हम ये करेंगे, वो करेंगे. But government is you and me. So when we blame government, we blame ourselves. So if you can retain the trust of people by promising less but delivering on what you promise, then trust is built up. So the most important thing is building trust.
Very glad to hear you worked on the ground with so closely with the people of the native village. Sir, one more question about wildlife and conservation. How can urbanization and conservation go hand in hand?
So Pune is a good example of that. If you walk up in the hills of Pune, you can see some barking deer, you can see paradise flycatchers. In the municipal commissioner's bungalow, one paradise flycatcher used to come all the time. Paradise flycatcher is a bird which lives in deep jungles. So an indicator in Pune means our environment is pretty good. But we have one problem, very big problem, and that is Mula Mutha River. So it comes from a non-engineering viewpoint. As engineers, you should change that. Professor Birud was saying that we should make this road named after our great engineer Vishweshwarya Iyer. So the mindset is important for that. So we always think to stay clean, we should put all our dirt in the river. Actually, it is better to put the dirt on the land than on the river. Any guesses why?
Flows like the waste may be flowing to the other areas as well.
No. You have to find a scientific reason.
Any engineer from the audience who can give us a scientific reason for that?
Yes, but what about decomposition? Why is it better to put it on land than in the water? Perfect. So the dissolved oxygen in water is much less than on land. But if you see, lot of our traditions, upon Nirmalya, Ganpati Visarjan, everything we do in the river. Those times it was okay because the population was small, numbers were small. But now, none of our rivers have the capacity to take the amount of organic content that we are putting in them. Because to clean the river, you need oxygen. And oxygen is at a short supply inside water. So moment you put anything in the water like paper, har, nirmalya, then the oxygen gets used up in decomposition. And then the water life, like fishes and aquatic insects and aquatic plants all die. Because there is no oxygen for them to live in. So we need to make the rivers clean again. And for that, we need to ensure that our sewage and human waste doesn't go in the river. Then you can go back to your sculling and rowing on the river. Now it must be difficult, the river is so dirty.
Last question. As CEO of Mitra and having associated closely with CMO and PMO, what's your vision for Maharashtra startup ecosystem in next decade? And how can young underminers contribute to this vision?
No, so firstly, startups will only come from youngsters. So very rare, you can see there is one picture of an old man on one Kentucky chicken. Do you see that? So he's the only old man I know that who made some startup. But all the other startups, whether it is our Facebook or so many of them, the Hotmail, which was made by Samir Bhatia, all of them were very young when they did it. Because then you have the capacity to take risk. So that risk-taking capacity is important. Secondly, learning from failure is very, very important. Just one day we were learning, 2 days back we were reading Gita with one teacher from ISKCON and my son. So he said that the wealth, which is Lakshmi, is not only money. It is Dhairya Lakshmi. Means wealth of courage. Wealth of courage comes only from failure. So for the startup, you have to be prepared for failure. Of course, plan for success, but prepare for failure and see beyond that. So that's something that we can look at. And finally, don't do anything just because everybody is doing startup, so we should do startup. If there is an inner fire in you to wanting to create a startup and you feel happy doing it, then only go for that path.
Some initiatives we can coming initiatives of Mitra in next decade to achieve the vision 2047, because we think startups will be also play a great role in making vision 2047 successful.
No, so actually, more than Mitra, it is Government of Maharashtra which supports startups. So Government of Maharashtra has Industries Department. They have a policy for startups which include incubators, which include things like giving government orders for a successful idea. It also includes giving concessional space on MIDC area and some tax exemptions for the first few years. So all of those packages are there. But you know, lot of successful businessmen told me, I never went into business, so I don't know. But they always tell me that if you rely on government subsidies, if your business is based on government subsidies and on taking loans, then you're going to fail. So as a startup, you have to see that you don't over leverage. That is, just because a loan is available, so you don't take it. And you don't do a business because government is giving a subsidy. You do business because it is economically viable and you are fired by that idea. And then the subsidy and all can be a supportive element. But that is not the driving element. Yeah.
So that are the questions from our end. And yes, as I promised at the start of this session, I hope this was a visionary experience for you all. Now we are open to questions from the audience.
Can we have the lights on, please? Any questions from the audience?
Mike.
Hello.
Yes.
Good evening, sir. My name is Bhavna.
Hmm.
Sir, I had a question to ask you. Like, what was your inspiration to start Mitra? Like, was there any event or incident?
Firstly, I didn't start Mitra. Government
mean-
of Maharashtra started Mitra.
Yeah, but you were a part of this, and
I'm a CEO there, so my inspiration to be there is to try to work on new ideas, interact with people like you, get new ideas. Today, walking through your fest, so many new ideas came to us. So this is the thing. But the Government of Maharashtra and Government of India set up this state think tank.
okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
So I wanted to ask that we are increasing our GDP over the years, and that is a good thing, obviously. But over the years, we have seen that the GDP per capita, in that direction, we are a bit lacking. So what do you think the measures that the government should take to improve upon that?
So just as a quick, because I'm only trying to sort of tease all of you on this one. So do you know what is the formula for per capita income growth? So if GDP growth is, let us say 10%, what is the per capita income growth? How do you calculate that?
GDP by the population, right?
A very simple answer is there. Though it might seem simple, it's a correct answer.
Sir, just divided by the population.
No, how can you divide it by population?
Percentage, na?
Not by dividing.
Percentage.
Minusing. So you get the actual growth. Otherwise, you can calculate it in a better way. That is, you have the whole GDP, then you divide it by the population, then you divide the incremental population by the incremental GDP. That you can do. But in a simpler way, you can get the actual rate. So that is, GDP has to grow faster than the population growth rate. So, because both of them are growth rates, so geometrically you can come up to almost a correct answer simply by saying. So, if our population is growing at 2% now, and if our GDP is growing at, let us say, 6%, so 4% per capita income is growing. One of the ways, of course, is to stabilize the population. That is one way to do it. And that we are heading towards a replacement rate. Replacement fertility is 2, less than 2. That is, so now we are already reached 1.9, India, which is a very big gain. But the people who are in the reproductive age group is still 35 to 40% of population. So our population will still keep growing for another 30 to 40 years. So we will cross 2 billion before we stabilize. So how do we find resources for all of them? So we have to think about what Western world did, but more important, what China is doing. We have to look at the whole world. PM bolte hain na ke Vasudev Kutumba. So while it is a good thing to think that the whole earth is our family, but physically also you should think of it as a family. So whether it is Africa, Europe, South America, we have to think how our skilled people can work in all those places over the next 30, 40 years. Then not only will the per capita income grow, but employment will grow, keeping pace with our population. So whether it was UK or Germany or France, they conquered South America, North America, Australia, and sent their population there. India can't do that. What China is doing is China is making infrastructure and exploiting the GDP of African, Central Asian countries. Again, we don't need to do that. We can do it in a better way, which is the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, by ensuring that where the deficits are across the world in terms of skilled workers, quantum computing engineers, we can supply these. At the same time, you ensure a circular migration. So people also come back to India to give back to our own country.
Any other questions?
Hello, sir. Hi, this is Siddhika. So I had a question like we are hearing nowadays that factories and industries are shifting to Gujarat. So is it going to affect the GDP of Maharashtra?
Factories and these ones are not shifting. The last time I knew, IBM shifted its production from Gujarat to Maharashtra. So not the other way around. So nobody is shifting there. Actually, and we have to think of India. I don't think we have to think of Maharashtra versus Gujarat. We have to think of Maharashtra and Gujarat together as India. And nobody is shifting out of Maharashtra. Maharashtra's infrastructure is much stronger. Maharashtra's human resources, because we have far more engineering colleges, we have far more resources, we have iron ore, we have coal, we have far bigger agricultural land, we have far more irrigation dams. It can never, I mean, Gujarat will always be a state which will aspire to be close to Maharashtra, but Maharashtra will always be the leading state as it is today. And there isn't a competition. I mean, we need to all work together in collaboration. So there are some things in which Gujarat will be at the forefront, for example, some port-based industries. But Maharashtra will be at the forefront in some types of agro-processing industries like sugar, or it will be at the forefront in IT, like Pune is, or Maharashtra will be always at the forefront of automobile industry. So these sectors are different in various states, and we can benefit from each other.
I think we can take our last question now.
Hi, sir. My name is Ved. So, as you were talking about the comparison between recent innovations versus the social welfare of our country, I wanted to ask that, as an economist point of view, how would you compare the opportunity costs of innovation versus social welfare in a country like India or in general as like in the world?
So that's a good question. But you know, most countries which are doing well and which are very rich, they look after their vulnerable and poor. In fact, like there are 3 sayings in the world, like the strength or robustness of a society can be seen how it treats its women. So in all well-off countries, you know, ensure that women are equally empowered, equally have economic access to education and all. Then you go further, how do you treat your wildlife? That is those who are voiceless. Again, a well-off country always treats it better. So social welfare is important to take care of those elements of society which may not have been given by God or nature, all the right resources, people who have disabilities, for example, people who have various other socio-economic problems. So these, the state and the society as a whole need to take care of them. We can't leave anybody behind. So they have a different share of the resources. To promote innovation, we need to support universities like your college, and we need to provide an enabling atmosphere. And the two need not be competitive. Because if we don't look after people who are vulnerable, then the society becomes very fragile. And such a society can never throw up innovations. So if you go to Sweden, Norway, all these countries put up so many innovations, but they look after their people who are not well off or who are old or in some way disabled very well.
Good evening, sir. I am Manish from Amravati. You were in Amravati as a CEO and divisional commissioner. I just wanted to ask one question. Sir, as you said, there is one major negative factor for GDP deceleration or slow GDP growth in Maharashtra is higher government salaries and pension-like schemes. So what government is doing to address that, and what we as a citizen should do in that particular matter, if we can as a citizen do something for that?
No,
Thank you.
I think one thing which we as citizens can do is to be more alert on the budget. And we should ask right questions to our elected representatives. We ask wrong questions mostly. We ask, आमच्यासाठी काय केलं तुम्ही? But if you ask like that, then the government will give for everybody something or the other. But if you ask, आमच्यासाठी काय केलं की नाही केलं, परंतु पूर्ण राज्याच्या विकासासाठी आपण काय करतोय? We don't ask that question. We ask the question, माझ्यासाठी काय केलं तुम्ही? आमच्यासाठी काहीच नाही आहे बजेटमध्ये. Then the government is a representative of you. Think of the government as your mirror image. तुम्ही आयनाच्या समोर उभा आहात आणि तुम्ही स्वतःलाच प्रश्न विचारतायत. जे तुम्ही शासनाला विचारता, शासन तसं काम करते. तुम्ही शासनाला सांगाल की आम्हाला आमचे रस्ते सुधारून पाहिजे, आम्हाला आमची नदी स्वच्छ करून पाहिजे आणि इतक्यात आम्हाला शिक्षणाचे फीस जर वाढले, जर वेगवेगळ्या प्रकारचे फर्टिलायझरवरची अनुदान कमी झाले, शेतकरींना जे वीज मिळते ते प्रत्यक्षात प्रोडक्शन कॉस्टवर जर दिली, परंतु त्याच्यासोबत शेतकरींना सबळ करण्याकरता आपण इरिगेशन प्रोजेक्ट्स पूर्ण केले, त्यांना लागणारे पाझर तलाव आणि हे सगळे जे आहेत इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर ते पूर्ण केला. पण आपण तसं नाही विचारत. आपण काय म्हणतो, अरे आमच्या पीक गेला आहे, आम्हाला डायरेक्ट थेट पैसे द्या. आणि अशी मागणी आपण जेव्हा करतो तर तेव्हा शासनालाच आपण बोलतोय की तुम्ही आम्हाला सबसिडी द्या, आम्हाला चालेल जर तुमचा धरण पूर्ण नाही झाला तर, कारण पैसे तर एकच आहेत. तर त्याच्यामुळे गेटिंग द डिबेट टुवर्ड्स डेव्हलपमेंट, आपल्या PM साहेबांनी एक खूप चांगला स्टेटमेंट केला होता, रेबडी कल्चर. त्यांचा उद्देश काय होता की लोकांमध्ये ही अवेअरनेस काढावी की आपल्याला जरी आवडत असेल रबडी गोडी, पण ती गोळी जास्त चांगली नाही आहे, कारण त्याच्यामुळे आपल्याला कमी रस्ते बांधता येतात, कमी रेल्वे लाईन बांधता येतात. शेवटी आपल्याकडे जितकी निधी आहे गुंतवण्यासाठी ती ठराविकच आहे. तर त्याचा किती हिस्सा आपण सबसिडीकडे वळवावा आणि किती विकासासाठी वळवावा हे लोक ठरवतात. आता दिल्लीची सरकार आहे, त्यांनी सगळे ट्रॅव्हल फ्री केलं, पाणी फ्री देतात, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी फ्री देतात आणि लोकांना आवडतं ते. ते जर आवडलं तर देन तशीच प्रकारची सरकार करणार. सो वी हॅव टू चेंज फ्रॉम विदिन फर्स्ट.
So, sir, this outlook of citizen, how it will change? Because
no, I mean, you are asking the question, already it's changing. When you ask this question, I purposely put it provocatively, so some of the students sitting out here may think, see, somebody asked me about this Ladki Bahan Yojana. Now, that is not a genuine subsidy. It is something which helps to equalize the gender imbalance. One of the worst things about India is that women don't have the same access to nutrition as men in the same family. I am not talking about poor families. Even if the family is, say, lower middle class, so the woman will eat last. If she eats last, then whatever is left is there. And all the good part is eaten by the boys. And so these type of things are things that we need to shift, and that is a good investment. So that we did not think of subsidy. But on the other hand, some things which are like, just giving away write-off on electricity bills or write-off on loans, etc., these will cause damage to the economy. So we need to correct the discussion for further growth.
Sir, that one part of my question. Please enlighten us regarding what government is doing for reducing higher salaries and extravagant pensions.
So government is now very careful in making new recruitments. So they are not going for creating newer posts, for example. Then secondly, they have done a lot of pension reforms. Nowadays, nobody gets pension. Whatever you save, you get against that fixed deposit. You know that. As professors and all, you must be knowing that people who joined service 25 or 30 years ago, they had a lifelong pension. But now you don't have whatever you have deposited. So these are steps which government is taking slowly. But while taking these steps, there is a lot of opposition from people, isn't it? So, no. So checking the employment, government is now going for a lot of outsourcing of works. And outsourcing is good because you can have changing expertise and not fixed jobs forever. And government has also changed, Government of India has changed the labor laws, which allow for fixed term employment. See, China and Bangladesh became so good in terms of employment because nobody is employed for life there. A textile factory may need a particular type of engineer or worker for 2 years, so you get a 2-year contract. Suppose it needs it, can be extended. So government is also, now Mitra for example, my organization, we don't have any permanent jobs. All our young professionals, they have 1 year, 2 year, 3 year contracts. They perform well, they can get better. My own contract is, let's say 3 years. So after 3 years, it will be a new person. So this type of a dynamism, which is there in the private sector, government is also slowly trying to bring in.
Thank you, sir. Now we'll proceed with the felicitations.
I would like to call upon Vice Chancellor S.G. Bhirut sir, Registrar sir and Bharat Gite sir on the dais. I would now request our VC S.G. Bhirut sir to felicitate Praveen Pardeshi sir. I would now request Registrar sir to felicitate Bharat Gite sir. Yes. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your valuable time to us. We all COEPNs, Pune Startup Fest students are really grateful for having you today. Thank you so much. Let's give a huge round of applause for Praveen Pardeshi, sir. there's an announcement. All the PSF team members are requested to stay in the auditorium itself. Do not leave the auditorium.